Hi students, let's try to understand chapter 7 of the science class 10's control and coordination. Right. In this video we will only the going through the reading practice student. We are not going to explain anything. In the previous chapter we look at the life process involved in the maintenance functions in living organism. There we had started with a notion we all have that we see something moving, it is alive. Some of these movements are in fact the result of the growth. As in plants, a seed germinates and grows, and we can see that the seedling moves over the course of a few days. It pushes soil aside and comes out. But if its growth were to be stopped, these movement would not happen. Some movement, as in many animals and some plants, are not connected with growth. A cat running, children playing and swimming, buffalo chewing cuts. These are not movement caused by the growth. Why do we associate such a visible movement with life? A possible answer is that we think of movement as a response to a change in the environment of the organism. The cat may be running because it has seen a mouse. Not only that, we also think of the movement as an attempt by living organisms to use changes in their environment to their advantage. Plants grow out into the sunshine. Children try to get pleasure and fun out of swimming. Buffalo chew cuts to help break up tough food so as to be able to digest it better. When bright light is focused on our eyes or when we touch a hot object, we detect the change and respond to it with the movement in order to protect ourselves. If we think a bit more about this, it happens apparent that all these movement in response to the environment is carefully controlled. Each kind of a change in the environment evoke an appropriate movement in response. When we want to talk to our friends in class, we whisper rather than shouting loudly. Clearly, the movement to be made depends on the event that is triggering it. Therefore, such controlled movement must be connected to the recognition of various events in the environment followed by only the correct movement in response. In other words, living organism must use system providing control and coordination in keeping with the general principle of body organizations. In multicellular organism, specialized tissue are used to provide these controlled and coordination activities. The first one we are going for that is nervous system in the animal. In animal, such control and coordination are provided by nervous and muscular tissue, which we have studied in class 9th. Touching a hot object in an urgent dangerous situation for us, we need to detect it and respond to it. How do we detect that we are touching a hot object? All information from our environment is detected by specialized tips of the some nervous cell. These receptors are usually located in our sense organs such as the inner ear, the nose, the tongue, and so on. So, gustatory receptors will detect this while olfactory receptor will detect smell. This information required at the end of the dendrites tips of the nerve cell. Figure 7.1a. So these are the ending nerve cell and these are the dendrites are there. Now, sets of all chemical reaction that create An electrical impulse is this impulse travel from the dendrite to the cell body and then along the axon to its end. At the end of the axon, the electrical impulse sets off the release of some chemical. These chemical cross the gap of synapse and start a similar electrical impulse in a dendrite of the next neuron. This is the general scheme of how nervous impulse travel in our body. A similar synapse finally allowed delivery of such impulse from the neurons to other cell, such as muscle cells or the gland. It is thus no surprise that nervous tissue is made up of an organized network of the nerve cell or neurons and is specialized for conducting information by electrical impulse from one part of the body to another. Look figure 7.1 and identify the part of the neurons where information is acquired through which information travel as an electrical impulse, where this impulse must be converted into a chemical signal for onward transmission. Put a sugar in our mouth. How does it taste? Block our nose by pressing it between our thumbs and index finger. Now eat sugar again. Is there any difference in taste? While eating lunch, block your nose in the same way and notice if you can fully appreciate the taste of the food you are eating. Is there a difference in how sugar and food taste if your nose is blocked? If so, why might this be happening? Read and talk about the possible explanation for these kind of differences. Do you come across a similar situation when you have a cold? What happened in a relaxation? Okay, that we will study in the next video, student. Thank you.